Lucy drifts in and out of consciousness as someone tattoos her with the date she's supposed to die. At home, Angela sits at the kitchen table with Wesley, tears in her eyes. She asks him if he really meant to take his own life. Before the conversation can go further, she's called away to work to deal with the situation. Back at the precinct, the team realizes no one has seen Lucy. After piecing things together, they note that she's been missing for 13 hours and was last spotted at a bar the night before with a man named Caleb. Meanwhile, Lucy wakes to find herself duct taped to a chair in a living room. Caleb walks in, still eating. He jokes that he'd offer her some food, but he doesn't want her getting sick. When she asks for water, he gives her a small sip. Caleb explains that kidnapping her wasn't part of any plan, just a lucky chance that presented itself. John and his partner visit one of Caleb's previous victims who was rescued. She's still in the hospital, and like Lucy, she has a tattoo marking the date she was meant to die. They ask if there's anything she can share about Caleb. Back at the precinct, the team realizes that Caleb is actually a protege of a notorious serial killer they already have in custody. Tim calls Angela to update her, and she immediately tells Wesley they need to get dressed. They're going in to help. Meanwhile, Lucy manages to break free from the duct tape and prepares herself for when Caleb comes back into the room. She attacks him, knocking him down, and bolts out the front door, only to see she's in the middle of nowhere. After hesitating, she runs, only to be caught by a hidden tripwire. Caleb drags her back inside, furious, ready to punish her for trying to escape. Angela arrives at the precinct, where Tim is noticeably on edge and unusually irritable. Eventually, he admits to her that he blames himself for Lucy's abduction. He was the one who told her to go out and take her mind off things. Meanwhile, John is tasked with speaking to Caleb's mentor, Rosalind, since she seems to have taken a liking to him. During their meeting, he presses on her weak spot. Caleb has stolen her spotlight, and John points out that she has a chance to reclaim the attention if she reveals where Caleb is hiding. Caleb zip ties Lucy's wrists and forces her out into the wilderness. Pulling a gun on her, he orders her to climb into an oil barrel. Before shutting the lid, he snaps a picture of her trapped inside. Meanwhile, John and his partner discover that Rosalind and Caleb have been secretly communicating through contraband. They start looking for whoever is running that operation. The lead sends Tim and Jackson out on the streets to chase down a smuggler, but it quickly becomes clear they won't get answers in time. That leaves John with no choice but to return to Rosalind and push harder for the truth. Elsewhere, Armstrong is visiting his wife's grave when Caleb suddenly appears from behind a tree. Caleb warns him that unless he comes along, Lucy will die, and he proves it by showing him the photo of her trapped in the barrel. Armstrong heads toward the car, and as he does, Caleb drops another picture of Lucy, along with a phone and a message claiming he now has 2 cops in his custody. Not long after, the chief and Angela arrive at the cemetery and find the phone and photo. Meanwhile, inside the barrel, Lucy manages to snap the zip ties around her wrists. She pounds desperately at the lid, but her oxygen starts running out. Caleb takes Armstrong to a house where another barrel is waiting. Caleb's plan is to kill Armstrong and seal him inside. At the same time, the team uncovers a connection between a P.O. box, Caleb, and a piece of land that Rosalind recently inherited from her uncle. John and his partner quietly approach the house, peering through the windows to spot Armstrong and Caleb inside. John kicks in the door as his partner fires through the glass, hitting Caleb in the abdomen. They rush to him, trying to get answers about Lucy's location, but he collapses and dies on the floor before revealing anything. The rest of the team arrives, and they scramble to track her down. Out in the desert, they search across miles of empty land. Tim spots something on the ground that leads him to a patch of loose dirt. He starts digging frantically until they uncover the barrel. Pulling Lucy out, he immediately begins CPR. She's unconscious at first, but finally takes a breath and wakes. Tim holds her close as she breaks down in tears. Later, at the hospital, Lucy opens her eyes to find Tim by her side. He's most likely been there all night, though he tries to pretend otherwise. Soon after, the rest of the squad shows up with flowers and stuffed animals to cheer her up. Back at home, Wesley gets ready for work. Everything that happened with Lucy has given him a new sense of perspective. Angela leans in and kisses him. Back at the precinct, Armstrong shows up ready for duty, telling the sergeant that this is exactly where he belongs. Meanwhile, John pays Rosalind a visit to inform her that Caleb is dead. He makes it clear they now have all of Caleb's notes along with every one of her secrets, which means their deal-making is over. But Rosalind isn't done. She hints that she has one final secret, and it's about Armstrong. John doesn't want to hear it and walks away, but she's confident he'll be back.